You always want to protect your children, but at the same time, you need to let them go out far enough to understand where the limit lies, number one. And number two, where it is that they feel as though, wow, I was able to go this far, I can go further. And that's the real simple key. It may be easy to state, but difficult sometimes to implement, but that's the key. Let your child be the child that they're going to be with the guidance that you're offering them, even sometimes to the degree that they don't know that you're actually guiding them.
Just a little taster of what is coming up on the show. But first, please do like this video and subscribe to the channel. And also tell your friends and family about this podcast. Please let us know in the comments if you would like to hear any particular topic in relation to sleep or health. And I will create a show especially for you, just for asking the question. So let's get on with the show.
Before we start today's video, please be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another Empowering Family Health podcast episode. Today I am so excited, you have no idea. I have an incredible person on with me today. His name is Greg Williams. I'm not sure if you've heard of Greg before, but he is a super duper powerful person and well known in the States and globally, worldwide. Today we're going to be talking about people are always negotiating and it affects the outcome they experience in life, and this is why you need to discover how to do it more successfully. So that's the topic for today's conversation. Before I bring Greg in, I'm going to read you out his incredible bio. Listen to this, folks. Greg is a people person that cares for the well-being of others. And that is why he teaches people how to negotiate better, to increase their value and get more from every negotiation they are involved in. As a Harvard-trained negotiator with a wealth of 30 plus years of negotiation and reading body language experience, Greg Williams, the master negotiator and body language expert, has taught people worldwide negotiation and reading body language skills. He is an accomplished author, speaker, trainer, and a recognized worldwide thought leader on negotiation and reading body language. The research firm Global Gurus has double ranked Greg in negotiation and body language among the top 30 gurus worldwide. And in addition, Greg is also a member of the famed Marshall Goldsmith's 100 coaches, individuals who coach such people as Serena Williams, Richard Branson, and other well-known world-recognized public figures. In the capacity of TV news contributor, Greg has appeared on all US major TV networks and some in other countries. And Greg has written several books about negotiations and reading body language, and he is currently writing his number 8 book. And Greg's motto is, "You're always negotiating." So, Greg, you're very welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm looking forward to delivering some insightful information that people can use immediately to improve their lives.
I love that. And you know, Greg, I heard you speaking on the Professional Speakers Association. That's where we met, and immediately I was just drawn into what you were talking about. And you know what it is the negotiation. What came to mind for me was, we are always, like exactly what you said, we are always negotiating. And that's the one line that you said. And we apply that as a parent, as a teacher, in business, just every single area in our life, because we always want to get what we want, right? So, Greg, I'm really curious why you're a master negotiator. You're an expert in this whole area. And I'm curious, what got you into this work and why are you so passionate about it? Because you're amazing at it.
Well, thank you for the question. First of all, I grew up in an extremely poor environment, and that was an environment where I saw people constantly trying to stretch their money, as it were. And to do so, they negotiated for anything and everything. When I was a kid, my mother used to ask whomever was trying to sell her something, well, can you do a little better on the price? And as a young kid, I would say to her at times, Mom, that's embarrassing. You're always asking people to give you a lower price. And the one thing she said was, the more of your money you keep, the more of it you'll be able to do with it. And I thought, interesting. But I paid attention to how people were able to achieve greater outcomes. And I didn't know it as a young kid about what skills they were amassing or using when they were negotiating. But that's what I started paying attention to. And it's something that's innate in me, because we all do need to know how to get more of what we want. And the way to do that is to become a better negotiator.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. I love that your mother inspired you like that. But I really get that she embarrassed you as well, because it can be really awkward and embarrassing, when we try to negotiate and, we're looking for something that the other person, the opponent, doesn't want to give necessarily. And, when it comes to money, this is something that we can negotiate an awful lot in, and times are very hard now at the moment with rising prices and all the rest. So this is a good time to negotiate where we can. So one of the things that you said, Greg, was negotiating can change your life, right? And that's a very big statement. How, and this could be a very long-winded answer, but how can it impact our lives for the better, to make us successful negotiating?
Well, you just hit upon part of a factor when you said prices are starting to rise. People will have less disposable income in which to live the type of lifestyle that they may be accustomed to. So if you can negotiate better, you can acquire more of what it is that you want and currently have as far as needing to enhance your type of lifestyle that you're accustomed to. And again, you hit upon a factor of we're always negotiating, which is my motto, by the way, because you negotiate for everything that you obtain in life or don't. Or don't obtain. And thus, the better you negotiate, the more of a happier person you will be, number one. And to be more direct, if you don't negotiate well at all, you'll leave a lot of opportunities that you will never know were actually in front of you. And those lost opportunities may never, ever present themselves to you again.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, the opportunities, they don't, what's the saying, they come to, they don't pause, they go to pass, or whatever. There is a saying about opportunities, can't remember what it is, but it doesn't wait around for you, basically. So if you're not ready and to grab that opportunity, and opportunities, when you can spot an opportunity and go for it, that's where you have your power. So Greg, I don't know where to begin in this. There's so many questions that I have to ask you. So many people don't like to negotiate. There are a minute few who do like to negotiate, but why is it that people don't like to negotiate? What's there for them? What's in the way?
Well, first of all, they don't realize that they're negotiating anyway.
That's true.
so they may think, oh, I don't like to negotiate. Well, you're setting yourself up to be a less than stellar negotiator with that mindset. You are negotiating. You will negotiate, regardless of whether or not you say you like to do so or not. Okay. Why do people not like to negotiate? A lot of them don't know the components that make up good negotiation skills. And thus they figure, well, I'm not going to engage in it because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's going to happen. And I will probably just mess things up if I try to negotiate, as opposed to shifting one's paradigm to, well, wait a minute. I negotiate every day, several times a day in different aspects of my life. Why not get better at it so that I can obtain more from my efforts? That's the paradigm shift that needs to happen. Now, let's go to another point of your question. Why do some people like to negotiate? Me in particular, I love learning how I can help more people. Now, there's a differentiation between myself and some people like to negotiate because, I got to get the best deal and I'm going to beat it out of that person, yada, yada, yada. I don't have that mindset, but I can adopt that mindset if I'm negotiating with someone that is more rigorous, more determined to beat me down or something of that nature. And that's something that everyone needs to learn, how to negotiate in different situations based on the person with whom they are negotiating.
Wow. So what I heard there, Greg, and correct me if I'm wrong, but so many people like to have a certainty, they like to know what the outcome will be and have control over it. So they like to have an expectation, basically. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, 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 yes. And we all have expectations. Some people do not have it at a conscious level. It's at a subconscious level, but you're entering into any particular situation because you are seeking some type of outcome. You need to raise that from the subconscious to the conscious level to assess, if I do A, what might happen to B? If I engage in B, what might C actually entail? So when you're negotiating, before you enter into it, you need to set a path upon which you will engage in the negotiation. And I talk about having off ramps at particular points in the negotiation, meaning if you're at point A and you thought you'd be at point D and you realize point D is really far-fetched, maybe point B or C is where you need to think about pausing the negotiation by taking an off ramp and say, well, okay, we'll get back to this later on or something of that nature.
Yeah, so it seems like it's a moment by moment. It's a very flexible kind of a conversation. You have to be very flexible. If you're rigid, it doesn't work.
Exactly, definitely so. And speaking about being rigid, sometimes if you are too set in your goals or whatever be the case, you will lose more because you were too rigid. You need flexibility, not only in the way you negotiate, but in your expectations. But at the same time, you need to set a ceiling for what it is that you would want to come from that negotiation, and you need to set a floor. Now, some people go, but wait a minute. If I'm expecting to get to this point, and yet I even get more, won't that make things happier for me, or won't I be a happier person? Not necessarily so, because there comes a point where greed sets in, and if you are perceived as being too greedy, you can lose what you've already gained. So one always has to be aware, very much aware, of where you are in the negotiation, the trajectory in which the negotiation is going, and when to stop negotiating.
So it sounds like, so if a person comes across as being greedy, right? It's all about that person. So the opponent is not going to be interested. They're going to lose interest if it's going to be all about the other person getting what they want. So it's going to make the opponent feel not important.
Oh, definitely so. Definitely so. And Joanne, you hit upon a very good fact also, because a lot of times you need to make sure that other person not only feels heard, appreciated, respected, and at the same time, give that person, to the degree you can, what they want from you. And the law of reciprocity can kick in there too. It's like, well, hey, I've done this, that. May I have this one little thing? Well, okay, yeah, you can have the one little thing,
That reminds me of a quote by Stephen Covey. Most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply.
Yes. May I pick up on that for a moment also? Yes. Not only should you listen with your ears, you should listen with your eyes. And what I mean by that is you can observe someone's demeanor also based on the body language gestures that they emit when you're talking. So, for example, I've observed several times you come closer to the camera and things of that nature.
I was waiting on you to pick up on something.
But what that states is, hey, at those moments in time, you're more engaged in what we are discussing. Now, just because you lean back for a moment doesn't mean that you've disengaged, but those are body language cues that people can pick up on to assess to what degree they're engaging and at the same time perceived as engaging with the person with whom they're speaking, and giving that individual some insights that's important to that individual.
That's really impressive, because it said that so we speak with words, right? We use words to communicate. But, if you're in China, say, for example, and you don't speak Chinese, right? What have you got? You have a smile on your face, maybe. That communicates to somebody you're friendly or whatever. So that's body language. And I think there's more of our body language and our eyes, our facial expressions, our tone, even if it's in a different language, all this it communicates something.
Oh, it definitely does. We definitely speak with words, and we enhance the words with actions. So if I say, oh boy, this is really a great interview, that conveys a particular sentiment. If I say, oh boy, this is really a great interview. I mean, I've used the same words. Yeah. No, this is a great interview.
Yes.
but you've seen the conveyance of the same words applied differently, and more than likely someone would perceive them differently because of the body language that added the extra value to those particular words. And thus, people should always be aware of how they're being perceived based on how they're using their body to project whatever additional meanings they're adding to the words that they're speaking.
This is so powerful, Greg, because there's so many places I want to go with this. They say that our mind, right? Our mind controls how we're feeling, right? And what we think creates our, how we feel, our actions and our behaviors, and then what we do, and then the results that we get. Joe Dispenza always talks about this, right? But isn't it true as well when you talk about body language and how we're sitting, our facial expressions, all this kind of thing, that our body can determine how we feel as well?
Oh, definitely so. Because if you're having a down day and you're trying to act upbeat, you may be able to carry that off for a while. And then your body will literally kick in and go, wait a minute, we're really having a down day. And you may start to slump a little bit, lean to the side, or whatever be the case. And that's something else that people should take note of. Just because someone is not as bubbly as they normally are, it doesn't necessarily mean it's because of you. That person could be having an internal battle going on within themselves. And if you're astute enough from a body language perspective, you can pause and say, is everything okay? Now, you may have even noticed I tilted my head to the side. That's the inquisitive side for body language, meaning seriously, I'm inquisitive right now. And the sincerity in which I asked that question stated that I really do care about what's going on with you right now. Notice the tempo of my voice slowed down a little bit. Those are all the signs that people can pick up on. And sometimes, again, subliminally, we pick up on those signs, but we're not aware of why we have altered our paradigm in a particular situation, because, again, it did not reach the state of consciousness. People should pay more attention to that. I suggest they pay more attention to it.
Yeah, this is great. Like, because so what you're talking about is awareness, been aware of our bodies and how our bodies are. So right now, folks, right now at this very moment, just tune into your bodies and see what way are you sitting? What are you looking down? Are you looking up? Is your body closed over? All this kind of thing. Because we can act small and we can act big, as well.
Oh, my goodness. Definitely need to touch on that point.
Brilliant.
Yes. And you just did it too. You said we could act big. When we have this mindset that we are a bigger entity, we display it through body language gestures. As you said, you can be closed down. And if you're closed down, you mentally are thinking to yourself, I have to protect myself in this particular situation. There's something in this environment that might cause me harm. Again, you may not be aware of that at a state of consciousness, but when you start doing this to your body, not only are you feeling the need to protect yourself, you're reinforcing it by the action that you commit to actually comfort yourself. And that's why we have to be aware of when we are in a state of comfort. Sometimes, depending upon where you are, you can all of a sudden just cross your arms, clutch yourself. And it's the thought that should occur is, why did I do that? What just happened?
Because you instinctively, if you instinctively did it, because your body is so intelligent.
Yes. And the body always attempts to stay in a state of comfort. What that means is whenever the body is out of that state of comfort, it will do something to try to comfort itself. If you're in an environment and you're somewhat nervous or scared, you're embracing yourself to say, oh, it's okay. That's what you're mentally saying to yourself. A loud noise occurs, you're immediately drawn to that particular noise. Why? The body wants to stay in a state of comfort, and that loud noise just pulled it right out of that state of comfort. So take note of when people commit certain gestures that display they're not comfortable.
Yeah, because when we talk about staying in that comfortable place, our life revolves around, it goes around in circles, and the same thing keeps happening. But we want to evolve, not revolve, right? We want to evolve, and evolving takes an act of, I suppose, courage and strength and stepping outside of your comfort zone, because when we're stepping outside of the comfort zone, that's the only place where we grow and evolve.
1000% correct. And some people are afraid to get too far away from their shadow because they think, wait a minute, I know there's comfort in my shadow, but if I walk too far out, I don't know what's there. I say be adventurous.
Yeah,
learn more about what it is that you were placed on earth to achieve. And we all have a higher purpose in life, no matter what our station is and what our current station is in life. There's something more out there that is for us, and we have to explore to find out what it is so that we can move into our greatness.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so powerful. And negotiation, when we're talking about negotiation, right, we got to know what it is that we want to go after it. So we need to be clear, obviously, when we're stepping into any kind of negotiation, what it is that we want. Otherwise, it's not clear, it's muddled. How can you have a sense of direction, a trajectory, as you were saying earlier on? So where can I go from here? So many of us, we want to have certain things in our life, right? And in order to get that, we have to be brave enough to step outside our comfort zone and speak up. So how can we step into our power, Greg? How can we, is there body poses that we can do, or is there certain tactics? Give us a few tips. Oh my God, I can't wait for this part.
Okay. Well, one is the hands on the hips with the shoulders back. Okay. That's a power pose. And scientifically, it has been proven people feel more powerful with that particular stance. So if you're getting ready to enter an environment and you feel a little apprehensive, go into that power pose and just take in that environment. Here's something else. Fear usually comes from, and it's an old cliche, false expectations appearing real.
Yeah.
And you have to question yourself, what am I fearful of? What's the worst potential outcome that could occur? And will I live past it? Okay. I take it a step further. I always say I will learn something from it, which will make me better. So I use those thought processes to make me continuously step out of my comfort zone. Now, Joanne, you might not believe this, but I'm an introvert.
No way.
Yes. But I have learned over the years that I need to be what I want to be in order to get what I want. So I've learned to alter my mindset based on the situation that I'm in. And you hit upon another key factor about when you negotiate, you definitely have to know what you want. More importantly, also, is to know what you will do to get it and not do to get it. So you're setting boundaries as you actually go through the thought process of what may occur, what might I have to concede, and to what degree am I willing to concede? Set those boundaries before you enter into the negotiation, along with what body language signals will I observe to indicate how close I am to my goal, how far away I am from my goal, what I need to do to get my goals back on track per the negotiation I'm in.
Yeah, because that's so true, because there are times as well, set the boundaries, because there are times when during the conversation we may realize that this person's not actually good to work with, and we may need to want to close the conversation down and step away.
Yes, definitely so. And there's a way to step away if you want to continue later, or a way to say, bam, that's it. I don't want to continue later. If you want to continue later, you might actually say something along the lines, and this statement would depend upon how deep you're into the negotiation and how badly you think that individual wants whatever outcome they're seeking from you. You might say something along the lines of, this isn't working right now. How about if we pick this up at a later time? Now, you may have caught several body language gestures there for sure. The sigh, the moving back, the shaking of the head, all of those were prefixes to what I was getting ready to say. You've already sent the message to the person. Okay, this is not going to be necessarily good for you. unless you alter your perspective. And you might even say it in such a manner to pose it as a question. This isn't working right now. What do you think we should do? And let the ball be theirs to see what they want to do with it.
So you're giving them control then of the conversation.
Yes, exactly. And in a negotiation, the whole thing is about the perception of who has control. So I tell people sometimes you can let somebody have their way by having your thoughts. And people go, huh? And I'm like, yeah, you can plant a seed and somebody builds upon it. Now, you're moving down the path that you've already set for the negotiation. They're building upon it. So that idea becomes theirs. So you praise them for it. Oh, you know what? That's a great add-on. I love the way you said that. You've just given them control, and they have to feel good about the fact that, hey, I'm in control now.
That's great. It's kind of sneaky, but it's a good tactic. Like, it works. It's kind of like a manipulation, but you're turning it around to be for the better.
Well, yes, exactly. And I'm glad you used the word manipulation, because it's a word that carries meaning based on the person that's perceiving it. And what I mean by that is, I could say, oh, wow, that individual was getting ready to step off of a curb into oncoming traffic that the cars were traveling 70 miles an hour. I manipulated him or her out of danger. Okay, so the word may convey negative sentiment, but did it not convey a positive action? So, and you need to understand how, when you're negotiating with people, how they use particular words such that you have the same meaning of that word as they.
Yeah. Oh, okay, there's two things that I want to say. So words. So you're talking about words there, right? And I want to come back to the manipulating as well. So I'm just writing it because we only have very short little time left. So words have energy, Greg.
Oh, yes.
Don't they? They have energy, and it can come across how we're speaking when we use certain words. And when you say aligned to another person as well.
Well, they have energy, and the degree of energy they have is based on the person speaking those words. I love you. I love you.
That's better.
Yeah. Exactly. The word love itself conveys a particular sentiment. But if I say, I love you, wait a minute now. Where's the real emotional feeling?
Like someone's twisting your arm there to say it.
Yes, exactly. You might even think, really? You might want to tell your mouth or your face that, or something like that,
Yeah. And we can use, there's a lot of things when people are talking in conversation, they can say things like, as a coach, right? So I'm a coach, and if someone says to me, oh, I'll try and do that, or I'm just not in the humor. They're very mediocre words, not very powerful words. So we need to be aware of the words that we're using and take them out of our vocabulary altogether if we want to be powerful people.
Oh, definitely so. I will. We will, as opposed to maybe we can, maybe I can. Two different completely sentiments and messages that you're sending. One is like wishy-washy, not even sure, and you're not projecting confidence when you say something like, I think I can, as opposed to I can. And you may have noticed the extra energy with I can.
Yeah.
So you have to be mindful of how you say things too.
Very definite, very committed. Yeah.
Yes, definitely so.
The other thing I wanted to say was, when we were talking about the manipulation, right? What came to my mind was power over and powerful, right? And there's a difference. So with manipulation, obviously NLP is involved in all of this, I presume. Yeah. So obviously, knowing all this stuff and how the mind works and the body and the mind-body connection together, right? And so we have tools, or you're the master, right? All of this, right? So you have all these tools, so you can easily manipulate people, right? But you care about people, and you want to manipulate them in a way that they can see the good that they can do in the world, and how they're thinking. That's stopping that's limiting them, basically, right? So you want to help people to discover this for themselves, right? And people have to discover it for themselves. So you're facilitating people with all this manipulation. So you are causing somebody to be powerful, and you're not having power over. Power over is like ego, manipulating, using, abusing. So there's a big difference, isn't there?
Oh, there definitely is. Think about this for a moment. Suppose now, after you gave my introduction, suppose I said, "Oh yes, I've written 7 books from Harvard. I have clients worldwide, and well, that's enough about me. You tell me what you think about me." It's like, hey, this guy really doesn't care. He's so full of himself, he'll
Yes.
probably float away like a hot air balloon or something of that
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah.
But if you truly display the fact that you care about people, and I really do, I try all day long to allow people to see something brighter in themselves such that they shine brightly.
Oh,
And that's my mission. That's my mission. And thus that is really why I teach people how to negotiate better. Now, here's one other aspect I'll add to that before we completely run out of time. In order to make people really feel as safe as possible, give them what's known as a risk reversal offer. So, for example, you see it with the 100% money back guarantees or things of that nature. People are trying to make you feel comfortable dealing with them. We can do it in our everyday lives also when we take the burden of, well, there's a cost that you may have to pay if by chance this goes awry, this deal that we're entering into. Think about as you negotiate with people, how you can give them a risk reversal assurance such that you engage them more and make them happier to do business with you, even in your love life.
oh, that's a win-win.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
Greg, look, we're running out. God, I could speak to you all day, but I want to touch really on families, right, and children and how we can because you know what, I'm very passionate about children. I believe they're the next leaders in our world, right? So we have to look after our children, right? And we have to teach them self-regulation. And let me say, the mobile phones, I've a pet hate about. They're great, right? Technology is great, but it's moving way too fast. And our children are continuously have their heads down and their fingers. And we're talking about body poses, right? And there is research like what you said, and the research says that when you're in a closed position, your testosterone levels decrease, which is what makes you dominant, and your stamina and all this that decreases, and also your cortisol levels increase. And there is studies that show this in how we hold our bodies, right? And children forever have their heads down and all of that, right? And they're not very active. So I just have a really pet hate about that. And I just want to create that awareness for parents who are listening that is actually happening physiologically in the body. So how can parents help to empower their children? Obviously, they have to, have a very compatible relationship with each other as well, because our children learn from our behavior. So can you talk just a little bit about that area, Greg?
Well, you hit upon another factor right at the tail end of the question. We observe what others do that we respect, and we emulate that per whatever we are trying to obtain also. Children do the exact same thing. And we talked about control a moment ago. That's the key. Let your child be the child that they're going to be with the guidance that you're offering them, even sometimes to the degree that they don't know that you're actually guiding them.
Love it, guidance. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
And one other quick thing too, we as adults can learn a lot from children when it comes to negotiating. Yeah. Children do not know the answer of no. It's like, hey, let's go to the next level to find out a solution. You were going to ask?
And something else about children, they have a lot of fun, and that's what's missing in adults.
Definitely so.
We're way too serious adults. Yeah. I love being, when we talk about, negotiating with different people and personality, we didn't get into that, but there's personality types as well that I think it's a good idea to know. I like to know the personality of my clients that I'm working with. It makes it easier for me to be able to pre-assess, if you like, or to have an idea. And when we talk about the, I'm an Enneagram number 7. I don't know if you know the Enneagram number 7. I love to have fun.
Okay.
So number 7 loves to have fun, and I love traveling. I hate to be tied down. I hate to feel trapped. So it's very important. It's one of my values is to have fun. And I love hanging out with my daughter. She's 12. I love traveling with her and all of that. So that gives me my spirit back, if you like, you know, and it fills me back up again. And when we talk about introvert, extrovert, I think it's very important to know which area, and there's nothing bad or good about either one of them. It's to know where you get your energy from, and that's really what introvert extrovert is all about. Oh my God, Greg, tell me, how can people work with you? Give me your website address.
Okay, it's themasternegotiator.com. That's themasternegotiator.com. I can be reached at Greg, Greg, at themasternegotiator.com. And if you go to my website, there are probably a few thousand tips, all kinds of insights that are free. And please feel free to partake of them. You don't even have to ask if you want to put them somewhere. Just, hey, if they benefit you and others that you care about, they're yours for the asking. And you don't even have to ask.
Oh, wow, Greg, that is so generous of you. And I've been on your website. I've been on your website for hours today. There is a lot of content, and you have your YouTube channel as well. There's lots of videos there. And you also have online resources, and you have your books as well. Best-selling book. What have you got? The Body Language Secrets to Win More Negotiations, Negotiating with a Bully. I love that, because there's bullies everywhere and we need to be aware of them. Even for our kids, even as adults, we have bullies in our lives.
Exactly.
Lots of books, and you've got audios and DVDs and everything. So folks, go and check out Greg Williams' website. Greg, I could talk to you for another hour, but I do respect your time.
Joanne, this has been a pleasure for sure. And I thank you again for inviting me to share some insights with all of the followers that realize how great you are adding value to their lives.
Oh, that's amazing. And you know what, Greg, you know, you're causing a ripple of impact, because for every one person you're causing to change their life and to live the dream life that they, you know, to be healthy, happy, and to sleep better as a result, right? It's having a ripple impact on their spouse, their children, the people they work with. So it's massive. So I thank you for being who you are in the world. And I want to acknowledge you. I think it's very important to acknowledge you as well, Greg, for the work you're doing. So with that, have a wonderful day, Greg.
Thank you, Joanne. You do the same.
I do hope you are enjoying these conversations, and to help me continue pushing these videos and audio podcasts together, I do have an ask. I do need support to help me to keep bringing you knowledge and insights. There is a Patreon link, patreon.com/empowering family health, or you can make a donation via PayPal. All the links are in the description and the pinned comment. You can do a one-off, or you can do a monthly support. So I'd really appreciate that. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Take care.